to approve the agenda for this meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Ayes have it, the agenda is approved. Next item is the approval of the March 19th meeting minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the March 19 meeting minutes. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Ayes have it, and the meeting minutes are approved for March 19th. Next up is board member reports. Do any members have a report to provide at this time?
I'll just say that our ag breakfast, I was so pleased with the turnout. It was at the Lester Community Center for those of you that weren't able to join us. And it was great to see. It was pretty much a full house. And it was wonderful to see a lot of farmers there. Because it seems like some of our previous meetings weren't as well attended by folks that are farming. And I was really pleased to see how many that seemed to work well. And that was, I didn't get to stay for the presentation, but I'm sure that was very good.
It did, yeah, got a lot of good feedback on it. Our hope is that maybe the next ag breakfast in the fall we'll do out at the Fairview Community Center. We can maybe do like Lester, Weaverville, Fairview, Lester.
So do we do 3 or 4?
Last year we did 2. And so, yeah.
Used to do quarterly, right?
We used to quarterly, and yeah, we have been, I think, the past couple of years just been doing 2. Right, so.
Yeah, it was very good.
But I thought it was a good location, nice to get people out.
All right, any others? All right, if not, we'll go to the applications for VAD and EVAD. Avni, do you want to update us on that, please?
So we have 9 VAD renewal applications and 1 EVAD renewal application. So it doesn't change our VAD and EVAD program total, since we're just renewing those applications in the program. And so Terry's EVAD application, you just have to recuse yourself. But yeah, they're all renewals.
And on that one, should it be Sandy Mush, or do y'all put Sandy Mush under Lester?
Oh yes, sorry, that shouldn't say much.
And then the Christy Lori Brown, that wouldn't be in the end.
Sorry, that I think that is their mailing address, so.
I think what is the property that's in Lester?
Yes.
So whoever makes it, so I'll refuse myself, but whoever makes it will need to make it.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve the applicants as amended?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Ayes have it. Applicants are renewed. All right, so next we have Ariel talking to us about the Cone Holler expansion.
All right, so we'll go over some good news.
We'll take it.
Yeah.
Just a bit of a reminder on a project we did last year. So Toad Holler Farm is out kind of on the edge of Weaverville and Barnesville. About 23 acres of forest land, lots of water on the property. It was donation. So the landowner contacted us, and we don't already know they had, kind of dreams of acquiring some adjacent property, and now they have. So right now, where we are in the first phase of the Toad Holler Farm, we've completed the draft of the survey, we've done our title search, and we're starting our deed draft. And so we're at a phase right now where it's totally realistic to be able to add onto the existing project, because we're just at draft phase of the survey. So they have acquired 2 additional parcels next to them. as you can see in red, the yellow is our existing project, and the two red are the ones they just added. So that'll bring the total acreage to around 48 acres. But because of
What was the original acres?
the original acreage was 23.
Thank you.
And so that'll be getting us, over doubling the acres on the project. So our proposal to the board is that we do an expansion request on this project. I don't personally, but it's up to you guys. I don't think we would need to bring it through the entire project approval process again, since it's just expanding the original project. But we would have to have a budget request, an additional budget request that we could bring to the commissioners. We've collected estimates, and because it would need to be surveyed, that's the largest chunk in the expansion request budget, but we would need around 28,000 to finish this out, and this is a donation snack. And they do not owe anything on those two. We are doing that now.
Making it easy for us.
Exactly,
Yeah.
that's how much your early days.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what we have on Stone Color. If you have any questions?
Okay.
I don't believe they have any building plans for those two additional parcels. The building plans are just on the existing, already approved here, where they have a farmstead house site.
And so an original budget amendment had already gone through on this project, right?
Correct.
And so this is just asking for additional because of the issue. Okay.
Yeah, so it would be, we need in our budget amendment, we would say we need supplemental funds for the Stone Color project, because due to increased acres. Yeah,
It is.
Yeah.
Acreage.
yeah, and it's all along the Alexander Branch.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember, is that one that I went to?
You went, there was a cabin, a whole cabin on the property, we hiked up and like really beautiful, like Rushing Creek, hiked up to,
Was it a couple years ago?
couple years, yeah.
Okay.
I would say we did a site visit last February, March,
Mhm.
so yeah, just a year ago, I guess. And yeah, they don't live on the property, there's just really a cabin and they have their little lake.
Are they doing any farming up there?
They're just managing the forest, they have a forest management plan, and they're planning to get an expansion on that forest management plan to cover the other tracks, so that the community be done on the track.
Well, that's very exciting news. Do they ever plan this?
They do have a plan to build, they have one house site reserved. And a farmstead area for some potential sheds, farms, still very small.
All right, so you just need a motion from us to approve the expansion. Okay. All right, any further discussion from the board? All right, seeing none, I entertain a motion to approve the expansion request for Tone Holler.
So,
Been moved to expand the Tone Holler request. Is there a second?
second.
Moved and seconded to approve the expansion of the Tone Holler project. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we will vote. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion passes.
So we will submit this request as well as some projects that LCAP is hopefully approving tomorrow to the commissioners for the next few weeks. So we're hoping to try to allocate the rest of the 750.
Okay, so we're in line to do that.
We're in, yes, and there probably will be another project. So yes, that. Okey doke. So I'm gonna say I'm going straight into. Okay, we're continuing to do easement monitoring with Equinox, we haven't quite finished, but all of that is happening behind the scenes. Kind of already covered a bit of this before the meeting started, but we had grant application visits about a month ago with the state. We visited the Robertson property as well as the Slocum property, and a day or so after that visit, I'll say at that visit, we found out the state had record number of applications, it's a highly competitive year, they don't have enough funding to put all the applications, you know, yada, yada, yada. And so, Russ Robertson was disheartened, and discouraged by the grant application visit with the state and, afterwards backed out of the easement process, and so.
Because you didn't say what we're gonna fund it.
We had the federal visit back in December, and then this was the state application. The state said this, you know, project's gonna rank really well, with a few extra, you know, forms, we'll be able to boost the ranking, we think it could have a chance of getting funded. He was there for all of that, we explained it to him over and over again when he called to withdraw, and he was just saying he didn't realize this process was gonna be this long, and didn't feel like you had a chance of getting funded and all that. So, I asked, do you want to pause it for, you know, a little while to, you know, figure out your next step? And he said, no, he wants to cancel the process and withdraw both of his applications. Well, all three of the applications, because we submitted 2 for the federal grant. So based on his request, we did that. We had a good visit with the Slocum property, but it's majority forested property, so it doesn't have fantastic prime soils like Robertson did. And they said, you know, because of that, it's not gonna rank very well, and without saying that it's not being funded, essentially gave us the feeling that that would probably not get funded as well. That being said, the project we think is a good one, and we hoped that once we have the official denial, you know, letter in this, hopefully late June, we would suggest proposing that for the bond. Because it's still.
Which one?
The Slocum property, so it's out on South Turkey Creek. Yeah, really great farm history on that property, even though it's not currently a working farm, it's a working forest. But a lot of farm history connecting to the land that Anne is farming now, and a lot of great history, and it's a century family farm.
And it brings a lot of.
Yeah. Yes, exactly, it joins Long Branch. Anyways, so that landowner is still wanting to move forward. We also explored that an agricultural growth zone application, I think we mentioned, with the state, so that's where we put in a request of 2 million and suggested that we could match 2 million from the bond to be able to have 4 million to fund applications. So we haven't heard about that. We have an interview with the grant committee on the 25th. So we hope to hear more about that. My assumption is that if they fund it, they'll fund it at a lower number because of all the competition with all the other applications, but we'll see. We hope that goes well. We have a lot of research backing our proposal that updated for master's work, so we have a leg up on others, so we'll see. And then one last piece of not so awesome news is that we were contacted by Darren and Elizabeth Strub and her husband.
Elizabeth
Darren.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's.
Okay. And it sounds like they are not on the same page about wanting to do the easement. Elizabeth wants to do the easement. We're not sure if Darren wants to do the easement. And so there's been some marital lack of communication on that project. We've been communicating to both of them, and I don't know if they're on the same page. So we have put the ball back in their court and said, you know, here's where we're at with the project. We have not started anything or spent any money. And we need them to decide between them, you know, themselves, if they wanna move forward or not, and if not, that's okay, we don't wanna force anybody to do anything they don't want to. And
It seemed like they were both on board. We had a site visit, we were both there, and they were both present and involved in the process, and then. When we reached back out to start the process, that's when they said, actually, we are having some differences in our approach to this. And then
what is that project? Which one is it? Bobby Knob Farm. It's adjacent to Claxon, I think, or at least close.
That's the one I went on with you guys, right?
Yeah,
It's the one we did. Yeah, we walked, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
donation.
Donation.
What is it exactly he doesn't wanna do? Do you know?
It's like he's not sure about being locked in long-term on the
Okay.
easement. He, you know, we went back and forth communicating, he had questions about deed restrictions, why can't we do that? We explained what deed restrictions, you know, are, and what they could do, and, it sounded like it has actually caused issues between them, the easement process, and not sure if it can, if they'll go forward. So that's another piece. You know, they say the easement is the difficult part. Sometimes it's, you know, we have to deal with people and or unpredictable. How things will pan out. So all in all, we put the ball back in their court, said, you know, let us know what you decide. But I just wanted to make sure the board knew. Doesn't sound likely at this stage. But that being said, we have some new possible projects and tons of existing projects going on. So
Can
yeah.
you talk about one out there?
oh, thank you. Yes, okay, so at our USDA application site visit, that was back in December, so you know, they kind of didn't give us a lot of feel for if we were to be funded or not. So last week, the federal grant reps came here and we talked with them. And they mentioned they didn't get a lot of funding this year, they got a lot of applications, yes, big story. And they have funded all the applications that they are going to be able to fund, so they weren't able to fund Robertson. And they are not going to be able to fund the Okoboji project. So that being said, Okoboji proposal is around 42 acres, it's like 98% prime soils. I believe we already have transaction costs allocated for that project. But we think that would also be a potential bond project, since we have explored funding, and we've also worked with the landowner to connect them to Hickory Nut Gap. They were looking for a new farmer to lease their land, and they have now a lease with Hickory Nut Gap, and they're planning to do some conservation work on the property to get it set up so that they can cut it for hay, or they can actually have cows pastures there. So I believe they used to lease it with Tony Nesbitt, and now they're with Hickory Nut. So
What do you think in the process with this and the Slocum? Since we've tried these other sources and that's not working. Sounds like unlikely.
Yeah.
To work. So when will you be bringing this to us to look at it as far as
that is a big question. So we have plans, but I guess the initial question is, do you want us to wait for a final denial letter on the Slocum project? Or do you, like, essentially they said, you know, there's no way this low crime soils and it's, it being majority forested will get funded. But we didn't know if we needed to officially wait for the denial letter to be able to apply for the bond funds. If we're okay to go ahead and pursue that, then we could do that next month or two.
When will you get the final one?
Typically, early July.
Okay.
There has been several years that we didn't get it until October or November. It just depends on like when they sort their stuff out at the state level. Budget wise,
Like last year, we didn't hear back until
October, yeah. So that,
So you could, even if we had to wait on that letter, you could proceed with the OG.
yes, we could.
But it's a question of the slope. I mean, is there any chance that they end up with more funding and this is a potential project, or did they just pretty much?
Yeah.
They pretty much just think this is not funding.
And so that conversation, I think, yes, it pretty much said that they don't feel like the level of funding, even if they get additional funding this year, it seems like they didn't think that they would be able to fund this
I
one.
think they said there's stiff competition this year and it's mostly forested and so with the soils. It's highly.
That being said, the grant rep that came to that visit, has a background in forestry, and she's been pushing the state director to start thinking about having a forestry pool of funding, like and for us, the past 2 years, we've seen huge chunks of forest land come in, very interested in being protected, but it's not ranking well with our current grant, sources. And so she said, that she's pushing him to think about this. She said, if we're interested in this, send him a letter, we sent him letters saying we're interested in this. And then with more research, she found that there is a federal program. I'm blanking on the name.
That's
Yeah.
It's our current program is ASAP, Agricultural Conservation Program. This would be forestry conservation.
Yes. And so it doesn't exist in North Carolina yet. They have the ability to have it, but they don't have any funds and it hasn't been implemented in North Carolina. But last week we talked to the federal folks, we pushed them for that too, and they said, they're gonna explore it and see if they can get that here. So the hope is that we'll have potentially in the next, few years, we would have more funding for forested projects. And so we shall see, but your question was
Process.
the process.
My hunch is that I'm a little, even though it sounds that it's unlikely, I'm a little hesitant for us to get out ahead of that, whatever what if they do come through with funding,
Yeah.
right? Like, that's what you're making countries do.
If they do,
Started, not really spent any money, but just kind of started the whole process and then just let them for whatever
Yeah.
reason.
get funding, we would just not take it from the bond at that point, like we would cancel, I guess. The request for the bond, but publicly, that doesn't look very good. It probably is better to wait for the denial letter, and then. For one, we can prove we tried to leverage funds, and that's part of our flow chart. So, okay, that's very good feedback there. So we can start that process with Okoboji. Okoboji's already been through the project approval process, have transaction costs. It's a matter of getting the easement purchase request to the commissioners and so we've already gotten a pre-appraisal estimating the amount.
So you need to bring it to this.
So we'll bring it to you, and then you would vote. If it's next month or the month after, for us to finish. Okay.
Because, it would need to go, through that board bond process from this board, and then they would recommend it to the commissioners if they.
But we wouldn't have another site visit or anything.
I don't think so.
So we-
There's,
Wouldn't-
I wasn't able to go on that one, somebody. Some board members.
Yeah.
That was really, yeah.
Okay. Alrighty, that, we are working on sending out our invitations soon to the conservation dinner.
That's a fun evening, everybody will want to come.
Yes, exactly, and, all right, so
You still need sponsorship.
we do. Let me know what information I need to get you if you have no. Okay, we've had a lot of great interest on projects, new projects coming our way, to get us set up for our summer project approval. So Mike and Katie Adams from Lady Luck Farm out in Sandy Mush, we're ready to move forward with their easement. That's a really, exciting one, that used to be owned by Neil Woody, I think, and so, yeah, that's awesome. Curtis Hawkins is interested in doing an easement with us on about 150 acres of his, property out in Sandy Mush. Now that is almost on all sides, I believe, touching other protected lands.
That would be next,
Yeah, so they've already done, a smaller conservation piece with Southern Appalachian, been in touch with Southern App, make sure we're not, we're all on the same page there, and they're okay with us pursuing this.
how many acres was mine and Katie's that piece of?
About 70. And so Curtis Hawkins is about, that's about, 150, and then working with Richard Kendricks, that's another 150 out in Alexander.
What's that comes to?
It's close to the game land,
Okay.
it's off of Bear Creek.
Okay.
And then we're also talking to Jeffrey Brandt Bart. I'm gonna say his name wrong, sorry. Also in Alexander, he's sandwiched by the game lands. And then Tom.
Is that one? The acres.
That's around 60, I believe.
I think it's a little, maybe more than
65, yes.
Is that the one that's right by the river?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so, we are in the process of doing reappraisal estimates for a few of these. Because the landowners needed a number, before they could commit to move forward. So we should have that done over the next month and have more of a concrete, like, we're ready to move forward. From these landowners. Tom Battle is another landowner owning, the property is around 190 acres in Candler. It's a working forest. It was, they logged around 15 years ago or 10 years ago. Sections of it. It is on, so if you know where Anthony Cole's is, it's across the ridge on the other side, not touching, but close proximity. And his easement offering is around 160 acres. So that's mostly, majority forested as well. So we're taking a lot of, reflecting on our grant experience this year and making sure that our proposals to, the state grant, meets, at least 50% prime soils, so that we really have a good shot at getting those funded. So the projects, we'll go in, in more depth on this at a later date, but the projects that are over 50% soils at this stage are the Kendrick and the Bart projects. The other projects are not 50% soils, so they potentially could go towards the bond. So that's what we're seeing at this stage, but people change. Existing projects, we have the Larson easement closing on Thursday, so that's super exciting. That's 70 acres in Sandy Mush. Yeah, it's good to get that one to the finish line. All the final pieces in the Jasperwood Farm easements, and we have tentatively planned closing for May. So that's also very exciting. Still in a similar state with Plunder Valley, the refinance has been approved, and we're waiting on the logistics on the subordination piece for their bank. Clark and Maddox easement is also on pause at this, stage as well. They're still dealing with their own subordination agreement resolution. No update on community farm expansion. We do know that they are actively working to exclude the disputed area, just determining what that area is. We already mentioned a bit on Tone Holler, Snowden, we're doing title work, started the deed, we have a survey draft. Farm Fortner, we are starting a new survey. And then Rogers Farm Trust, David Rogers and Scott Fisher are all kind of in the same status at the moment with the survey draft and environmental assessment. And that for project updates, there's all we have there. One last piece we'll just zoom through. Mentioned, we were planning to start bringing some projects to the board over the next few months. This is tentatively what we're seeing, in the May through July window. We're getting landowner estimates. We're working with the landowners on, figuring out farmstead areas and house sites. We plan to bring you the new projects, have farm visits, all of that, and have hopefully a vote on our new projects by end of July. And then we hope to be able to get that batch of projects to the commissioners, as well as the bond easement acquisition funds request to the commissioners as well. So loose schedule, just wanted to know, that it is in the works. And we'll be kind of honing in specific months that we plan to do things as we hear back more confirmations from landowners. One last thing I want to bring up as a potential is a potential change of our May meeting date. We're proposing, if everyone is available, to reschedule it for May 14th. I cannot be at the existing May date, and so wanted to see if we could push it to the Tuesday before. So I don't know.
I know, I won't be here, but y'all, that's my 1 week of vacation. And I'm sticking with it.
Yeah, I understand. That's why I'm not here for next week. So
You're 1 week vacation for the decade, or?
Yeah. That's why I'm golden.
yes, that you need it.
So you want to go to May what?
May 14th, if possible. That work for anybody?
Just like that, work at this point.
Okay, that's, we could email.
I mean, I know I will be on.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna be too busy, so, okay.
Not gonna be another week.
You know. They'll be plenty.
Well, so if that works for a chunk of you, we can vote to move the meeting to that day, and then we will do all the behind the scenes stuff, making sure that date just gets changed at the county levels and posted.
You need a motion then a motion to move the May meeting to May 14th.
Yes.
All right, is there a second? Any discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor of moving to May 14th? All opposed? All right, so we're approved for May 14th for the next week.
Thank you, that's all we have.
Hmm.
Oh, no, I just forgot this, I'm sorry, unprofessional. We have a applicant for the last position that we need to fill on the board. I believe Agni sent it out. That's okay, yeah, so she would be serving the vacant position that we have that's serving the Hominy urban area. And. Yep. So if,
What was the heading of that? Emails.
Maybe something like ag advisory.
I can try to put it up here.
Or.
Erica, sorry, I said Diane.
Here the date, ag advisory board meetings,
And sent some LCAT applicants out and thought advisory at the same time.
So here is her application. Erica Boyd. She enjoys growing a variety of vegetables, canning, helping her husband with cows, working hay, learning about bees, sharing as much as I can. She had farming background with the influence of her grandfather. And has, I believe, has been a Macomb County resident her whole life. Yeah. 43 years. Pretty much in the county. Erica Boyd.
someone know her?
I know her husband,
Okay.
just like work related.
Okay. Farming, are they selling it on the tailgate markets?
No. He's like a tractor mechanic and like has livestock
Okay.
and works for ag care. Like he drives the fertilizer truck for ag care. So that's how I met him. And we were just, it was the day, maybe the last meeting or the one in March, I was like riding around with him and I was like, hey, you should be on the ag advisory board.
Okay. And he wasn't interested in sheep. That.
Right.
He drives that bird farm. He came out to my land this year.
Yeah, he's really nice. I haven't actually met his wife.
And where do they live?
They live like in Pisgah, like,
Oh, up
Like,
Albany?
yeah.
Okay, well, that'd be good, there's a lot of farmland up there,
She also works for Macomb County.
yeah, currently.
I can't remember. She might be better needs or.
Yeah.
Will she be able to come to the meeting?
Well, that is a good question.
I him when the meetings are, okay, maybe her schedule's flexible since she's a classroom teacher.
Okay.
I can ask her. I can't remember which she works.
Can you scroll to the bottom right part, she wrote the bio part right there, trying, it's hard to see.
Sorry. So we can make sure we reshare this. And if board members want to reach out to her, to know more about her, we can. That's an option, or if you want to move forward with the applicant, you can recommend and then we can send it to the commission. But
This is the only applicant we've had for this position anyway. I mean. I'm okay, I guess my main thing is she gonna be able to come to the meetings and making sure before
yeah,
we appoint her.
right.
And then delay that whole process, because you know how. You know, how long all that takes.
Yes, so we can, if you want to approve her, you know, conditionally, and then we'll reach out, confirm she can be there at the meeting time. If she can't, then, you know, scrap that, it's heard over. If she can, we'll send it to. Does that sound okay, or?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay.
Works for me. Do you need a motion?
Erica Boyd is her name.
I'm going we accept Erica Boyd as a new board member based on availability.
So moved for second.
So been moved and seconded that we accept Erica as a provisional candidate for the board. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, motion passes.
That's all we have.
Okay.
So there was, you had shared this information.
Oh, yes, thank you. So, Kyle and Terry, sent a couple emails back and forth before the board meeting, asking questions about, short-term rentals and some of the new rules that I think are being proposed around that.
It's at the planning board, so the planning board is having a discussion around that, and so farmers have been reaching out and we are specific. And, you know, isn't this something we should be aware of and discuss as we are the ag advisory board awareness?
Absolutely. So we reached out to the planning department and I believe that either this week or next week, it's coming to the planning board. And so next Monday, thank you. And so Jillian Phillips said that she will come to our May meeting and talk more with the board about the topic. And was hoping to do that after they met at the Board of Adjustments, so that what is it, Board of Adjustment, planning board, sorry. And so then she would have more concrete information to share. So that's the plan. She'll be on the agenda for the May meeting.
And so,
And any specific questions about that, Jillian is a good point person to ask. And so she said that this is a draft form or draft infographic that we could share with you. It hasn't, I believe it's been completely finalized, but just to kind of go over it a little bit.
so this is the draft proposal where they are now currently with the planning board, I believe, prior to that Monday meeting.
And part of my thought process was a lot of farmers use STR as a supplemental form of income, so I want to make sure that we're speaking for them and not jeopardizing that floating.
And I sent an email, that email, there was about a lot of farms in state legislation, so that's in there, and I think it's 160, I don't remember that. But did we get an answer from planning staff on that? Because my understanding is that really would exempt the farms. But we need clarification from planning.
Yeah,
Because it's around the ag tourism is the point, right? Like within that 160D, it talks about farms and it talks about ag tourism. Benefits or
Yeah.
this in I replied to Kyle.
yes, and so she replied. But she basically says, yeah, the bonafide ag properties link that you had shared. She said, so the stay on a farm and cuddle a baby goat Airbnb would more likely fit under the ag exemption. She said, we haven't advertised this exemption greatly during the meetings. That's all she shared there. She says rural short-term rentals, due to public comment from the last listening session, they added a rural short-term rental section, which allows up to 2 short-term rentals, as long as there's a primary dwelling on the property that someone lives at on a long-term basis. And the lot size is, I think, at least 2 acres. So farms and rural properties that don't meet the bona fide ag exemption would fall under that rural provision. And we would also allow 3 to 10 short-term rentals in open use group together if they don't meet that definition of a rural short-term rental. Sure, it also allow. But So currently existing short-term rentals, which there are a lot out in, the rural areas of the county, will be allowed to continue as is under a grandfathering in provision.
Yes, so that I do know that some of this is new, but the grandfather, I did know that, and they did say any existing STRs are grandfathered, and that grandfather status stayed if you were leaving it to your child or you were selling it, because that was one of the sticking points for the time. They were always understanding, they were always recommending grandfathering, but that grandfather would cease to exist at some point. And now my understanding is that grandfather does stay with that STR. That was a change. So that people who are already doing it would continue to.
Yeah, because there's a lot of misinformation floating around and there seems to be a narrative that is being put that they're banning them everywhere and making all the existing ones shut down, and none of that is true.
It's, yeah, I'm curious, like, do any of you, the rest of you hear anything? Because clearly you have some that heard something, that's why you reached out. Does anybody else have any thoughts on this from the ag perspective, the farm perspective?
We definitely see a lot of farmers participating with agritourism have, an Airbnb here or a couple, and yeah.
The whole farmhouse built back in the late 1800s, farmhouse at Arlington. Was converted to VRBO the 3 years ago. And it's right at the corner. And they're doing that. And people come up, who have the is working, and we introduce them to the cow, let the cow and stuff like that. But they've been great. I mean, have been noisy, have been positive with that.
Yeah.
Just for your knowledge, from the communication perspective, that public hearing is at 5:30 on Monday at AD Tech Ferguson Auditorium. You can also watch the live stream of that meeting on the same platform this meeting is live streamed to, which is engaged.buncombe.county.gov. And Avi and Ariel can send out that link. Would be interested in that. But you can also attend and with public and one perspective, either personal or is related to this board.
You said it's 5:30.
And any other discussion on this one? Okay, any other announcements from board members? Okay, seeing none, I have one. So, so to start the new job, I have had about a 50% attendance rate yesterday. So, I would actually like to step down as chair. I'm happy to stay on the board, but I feel like it would be better if we had a chair that could be more present than I've been able to. So, I can keep on for a few weeks or months if y'all want to think it over, or if somebody wants to volunteer, immediately, that's fine too, I'm sure. Just put that out there for thought, and if you go, one of y'all would like to do this, it's not really that complicated a job. Oh, did you? Okay. Yeah, I'm the West Region Extension Director for NC State. So I've got 22 counties. Buncombe's one of my counties, but I'm on the road quite a bit, shall we say? So, yeah.
You guys are.
Boy, I appreciate you staying on board with
Yeah.
us.
Well, thank you.
You know that
Yeah.
that's, you're all over the place.
Yeah.
Being able to do that.
Yeah.
Chair, are you the vice chair on him, aren't you?
Yeah, you used to. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about, Susie. Yeah, I'd be happy to.
You noticed when you came in, make sure we got.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd be happy to. Not volunteering.
You would be willing.
Yes.
Even though you're.
And then you just need then to find somebody who's going to be.
I guess I don't know, I feel like my hands are so full, I just don't need anything else. That is a responsibility, I mean, I can come to the meetings, but can't do more.
Well, we could go ahead and appoint Chase, and then folks could think about the vice chair, that kind of helps Steve out. Yeah. Because I think Mark would be willing to consider it too, and then Wayne, would you, or you don't wanna be vice chair either? Cause you've been on, I was gonna say, you and Mark are the next longest after Ann having served.
Well, if I'm vice, I really don't have to do anything because he'll do it. I don't care.
She didn't care about that, she just got reappointed.
Yeah, and I'm only got another year, right?
No, she was just reappointed.
But she was reappointed because she was filling out someone's position. I mean, she's off. It was her filling out the term, and that's why they had to reappoint her.
So is that your way of saying no, you don't really want to? I was, but you said you would. I'll make a motion that Chase serves as chair and Wayne as vice chair.
Is there a second? Moved and properly seconded that we appoint Chase Hubbard chair and Wayne Welch vice chair of the Agriculture Advisory Board. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. Ayes have it, the motion passes. I will pass the gavel to you, sir. Figurative though it is. Yeah. All right, well, if there's no other business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, all in favor? We'll stand adjourned.
And thank you both for being here.